I noticed when I was editing my videos that I forgot to include the section on how to create the closure, so I must have deleted the video somehow. So I'm going to show you with these albums how I did the elastic closure. I'll show you two different styles. On this small one, I just punched a hole on the back, put an eyelet in, and then I just tied a piece of elastic like that, and that just wraps around the album or the journal like that. Now I'm going to demonstrate on this one how I did this closure, and this one attaches to the left of the journal and it's covered by a small embellishment. So it's really easy to do. I'll just remove this elastic and I'll use my spine for the demo. So all you need to do is take a piece of elastic. You don't even need to cut it right away. And I'm going to put this, run this underneath my signatures like that, and then come back under the bottom like that, and then come back at the top. And I'm going to tie a knot here. Now before I do that, I'm going to measure to see how much elastic I need. You want to allow room for expansion, and you can adjust the size if you need to, and also where you want your knot to tie, if you want it on the side or on the top. So I'm going to want my little knot to tie on the top, so it's going to go like that. So I'm just going to pull on here like that. So that's going to be long enough for me. And then I tie a knot, maybe one or two knots, and then I can wrap this over to the front, and then I just do a slip knot like that. And the nice thing about these is that you can always adjust it if you needed more slack or less slack. You can just undo the knot as required. Now after that, I just heated up my glue gun, and I had this little flower that I made with petals and a button, and I just attached that over the knotted area on the journal, and then it looks like that. And I attached some little beads on the front. So that's it for the journal closure. Now the first thing I need to do when I'm making my envelope is measure the finished size of my journal. And when I'm measuring the size, I need to include any embellishments that are added so that the entire thing will fit properly in the envelope. So when I'm measuring the width, I'm including the little flower that I attached on the side, and my width is 5 1/4 inches. The height is 7 inches. Now I'm going to add 1/2 inch to the width and the height so that there's a little bit of maneuverability in there when I'm putting the journal in or taking it out. So I've already cut myself a template that measures 5 1/4 plus 1/2 inch, which is 5 3/4, and 7 inches tall plus 1/2 inch, which is 7 1/2 inches. So this is a template that my journal will fit in. And also I need to measure the thickness that I want, and I think for this one I'll be good with 1.5 inches. So my final envelope should measure 5 3/4 by 7 1/2 inches high by 1 1/2 inches thick. Now you need to grab a piece of cardstock or a piece of paper. Don't use cardstock if you don't need to. I will, because it's going to be easier to see, more visible. You can use an old piece of a newspaper, a flyer, anything that will measure 12 by 12. So you take whatever you want to use for your template, cut it to 12 by 12, because my final envelope will be made from this sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock. I'm going to be using this template to trace over my paper that I'm using for the envelope. So it's also good to have this template. Keep it in case you make any more in the future. So I'm going to start by folding crosswise the full length of the paper. Like that. So I've got a triangle. Then I open this up and I do the same thing in the other direction. And you want to be as accurate as possible. You want these ends to meet. Like that. Next, I'm going to take my template and I'm going to fold it across this way and this way. This is a really easy way to make these dimensional envelopes. You can make pretty much any size as long as your paper that you start off with is large enough. Okay, so you see here where the lines intersect. I'm going to take my piece of paper where the lines intersect and lay it over top. And I want the center of this paper and my cardstock to be bang on. So I'm going to fold this in two like that. And like that. So this is smack in the middle, like that. Next, you could put a little piece of tape there if you like. I think I'm going to do that. Just to hold it in place. Like that. Okay. Next, I'm going to trace the lines around my rectangle template. So to do that, I'm just going to position my ruler on the template and I'm going to go from one end of the larger paper to the other. Like that. I'm going to be marking over the tape, but it doesn't matter. And then finally on the last side. So now I can remove my template. I'm done with it. Okay. So now I want the thickness of my envelope to be 1.5 inches. So this is the base of the envelope. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to mark at 1.5 inches all around. So now I'm going to draw the lines that go all the way across. So now I'm going to decide which section is going to be at the top of my envelope, because the top is going to be different slightly from the bottom. So my envelope goes like that. So this will be the top. So this will be the flap that's going to come down. So I grab my scissors and I start cutting at the first line past the fold line here, and then again on this side, and I go up to the second line here like that. Then I'm going to cut out here to form a larger triangle. So that's going to fold down like that. Next, I'm going to do the bottom. For the bottom, again, I'm going to cut up to the second line here and here. I'm not going to cut across there. I'm going to cut across here, where this tiny little triangle is. Like that. And that's because these are going to form flaps inside the bottom of the envelope. So next I'm going to do the sides. For the sides, all I do is I cut this little triangle up here. That's why it's important to note which is the top, so you always know which side of the envelope you're working on. And then this is the other side. So I could actually go ahead and fold this to shape the envelope, make sure it fits, and then I'm going to use this as a template for my final envelope. So as you can see, these are the tabs. Here are my sides. And because I marked across with the pen, the paper scores very easily. So when I form my envelope, whoops, I gotta do the top. This is going to come up like that, and this is going to come up the bottom and attach like that. I'm going to trim off this little top piece here, and that will come down like that. And I can see how it's going to fit by placing my journal in there. That fits like that. So that's pretty cool. So now I can use this to make my final envelope, and I'm going to keep it as a template for the future. I've changed my mind, and I think I'm going to use this paper instead for the envelope because it's got some gold on it, and it'll look really nice with the journal, which also has some gold. So I'm going to position my template on top of my paper, and I want to make sure that it's really straight. So I'm going to put a little bit of tape on here. just to hold everything down like that. Then I'm going to cut around where the triangles are, the larger triangles and the smaller triangles. Now this little tab, I'm just going to fold it up out of the way, and I'm going to cut along up to the end of the tab like that, and then this little piece comes off here. So I'm basically just cutting the same outline as I have in my template. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this tab. So these two pieces are now identical. Here's a smaller stylus. I think this will work better. And I'm going to use the very last line on my scoreboard as much as possible because it's a lot easier to work with when you're working with a long piece of paper. So I'm going to start, let's start with the top. So I'm gonna score from this side to this side. Like that. And then I rotate this and I do the same thing from here up until my the start of my tab, like that. And then here it's a very short side, but the triangle, and up to this triangle, and it'll meet my tab. So from this triangle down to this one. Oops. And then on this side, from here down to the bottom. So basically it's where the end of my tab is. So there are my first score lines. Now I'm going to go back to this side and I'm going to score from here to here. And that's going to be my 1.5 inch thickness. And then I need to do from here up to here. Now be easier if I use my ruler for this one. And then I need to like that. And then I do the same thing with this one. So I've got all my score marks done. I can start folding. So I know that this is the top of my envelope. Go like that. So now I want to use the printables on my envelope. Here's my top. I'm going to center this on here. And this will fit here. Now, because my envelope measures 1.5 inches, I had designed these to fit for 1.25 inch thick, so I can just trim the end of the triangle, or the long edge. So I'm going to start by attaching this to my front. And I think I'll just use my two-sided tape. It's easier to work if I just fold this closed. Okay, so that's gonna go like that. And I mean, you don't need to use these templates. If you like the paper just plain, you can go ahead and use even your own embellishments just to dress it up a bit. Paper flowers and bows and whatnot would look pretty. Or even wrap it up like a Christmas gift, or just tie a bow around it like a Christmas gift. Okay, so there's the front. That's the bottom, and this is my top. So I'm going to need to trim this off. I think I'll just trim from one corner here to here, and it'll fit perfectly. Yeah, I like that. And actually I could even attach this little strip to the top like that. No, I'm not going to bother. I'll just leave it like that. So there is my envelope. It'll fit like that. And I'm going to trim this part here so that it lines up with the side tabs. So I need to trim from here to about here. Next, I'm going to tape my seams, or my sides. So I put some two-sided tape along the bottom. And then along the angled sides, nothing at the top. Now, this is easier to do when there's something in it, so I'm going to put my journal in here. And I'm going to start removing the tape backing from one side. This is going to go up, and the bottom is going to attach to the tabs at the bottom, and that's going to go like that. Okay, next I do this section. Again, I'm just going to remove a little bit of the tape backing because I want to make sure that I get this on perfectly straight. It's good. Next, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And then I can press down on the inside on that. So now I'm going to finish embellishing my journal, and I'm also going to add a flower or something to the back of the envelope. And here's my finished envelope, and I've got the little journal in there. So on this side, I punched a border, and I attached a little lace flower that I made, and I've got some little fabric roses on here, and this is tied with a string. And on the inside, I also lined it with the same paper that I used for the envelope. And I put some two-sided tape here, but I didn't peel the backing yet, so this is for when the journal is ready to be sealed. You just remove the two-sided tape and you close it like that. Now, because this is the kit that I had done at the printers, and it ended up being a little bit larger than the actual size, the envelope is pretty much at the max size, so I didn't put any two-sided tape here because I'm afraid that it might actually stick on the album, because this just fits closed like that. So it would work, but I'd rather not risk it. So I just put the two-sided tape here instead, and I have this extending over the end of the point, so the tape can actually tie right there. So the front is just left the same way I had it. I'll take the album out, or the journal, and I'll show you what I did to it. So I attached some little beads, and I've got a little jingle bell on the side, and some little charms. I put a little Christmas tree, some little angel wings, and little beads here. These are really pretty. I like that. And I attached also some little beads to the elastic, and there's a little snowman here. So I will just take you quickly through the inside. So these are the tags that I cut, and I just put those in there. I covered this little pocket with a flower, and I had made this with some book pages that I tea stained. Then I've got a little center on there. These are ribbons that I attached to the front and the back of my signature covers. And here's a pocket that I attached inside with some more tags. This little doily is really cute. I just attached a little feather there and a flower. And I've got a little paper flower here. I attached a tag here, so I just punched a hole, put an eyelet, little flower and ribbon, and then I put one of these flaps on the side. I punched a border, scored it, and attached one of these images. And here's my little mini envelope, and I put the envelope, the note paper inside, and I just attached that with the paper clip. This was one of the, I think one of the pages that I didn't use from the kit, or it was probably one of the, yeah, this was from one of the signature covers that I didn't use. I cut it up, punched some decorative corners, and I'm using it as a tag, so nothing goes to waste. So there's my other signature, again, another pocket. And this was the, I think this was the cover of one of the signature covers that I cut and turned into a tag. I just attached a postcard there, little tag. And here's my envelope. Another tag here. And this is a great way of adding images to your journal, but when you don't want to use up the page space, you just put a little flap, put a attached little border, and it forms a little fold out. And this is one of the pockets, one of the straight pockets. I attached it to the side of the page, and I just tucked some of the tags in there. Another flower. This is one of the pages, I think, that I didn't use. I turned it into a tag anyways. Or maybe it was from a signature cover. No, I think it was from one of the pages. And there's another little tag. And then I put this inside the pocket. This was that extra signature cover that I had. So that's this journal. Now I'm going to show you the one that I made from the pages that I printed myself. So it's a little bit smaller, So this one, I did put some two-sided tape along the edges because there's plenty of overlap. That's not a problem. I really love this flower, again, paper flower that I made. And I have a button in the center, and I put some stamens in there. This is the same as the other one, just plain. This one is perfect for craft fairs. I only have 2 signatures in it. Again, I've got some little beads on there and charms. I have little Santa Claus on the front. This one, I tied the elastic to the back of the journal, and that opens like that. So again, I've got my pockets and tags in here. It's got a really vintagey feel or look because of the printing on my inkjet. I really like that. This postcard looks old. I love the look. And I just stuck a little card in the doily. So this is really great for craft fairs. And there's my little envelope in the last pocket. So I hope you enjoyed working with this tutorial, and I will include a link to the printables in the description of my tutorial videos if you're interested in purchasing them from my Etsy shop. Have a nice day and happy crafting. Bye!